So in my hand I'm holding a packet of berlotti bean seeds, and I sowed these about 2 weeks ago, so not that long ago, and I'm just going to show you what they look like now. Here they are in their pot, and they're going mad. In fact, they're sending shoots up, and if I'm not careful they're going to attach themselves to this grapevine. Anyway, they've done rather well, and that's because I sowed them from seed in very nice compost, and they've been in the conservatory, which doubles as my greenhouse, and they've just gone mad in the lovely warm conditions, and they are ready to go out. The problem being that it's still quite fresh at night, so what I'm doing is I'm putting them outside during the day to harden them off. And it's interesting because if you look closely at the leaves, you can see that they don't really like the fresh air very much. That is a definite sign that they're not very happy. So I've got to be a little bit careful. They've been out for the last 3 days, but they haven't been out at night. But just with the temperature today being around about 11-12 degrees outside, they're not massively happy, so they are not ready to go out yet. But I am planning on taking them up to the allotment and planting them out later this week. So I'll keep an eye on those today, because they're really looking a little bit unhappy with the air temperature. So it just goes to show that even in early May, you have to be ever so careful about planting things out too quickly. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you some other plants that I have raised from seed. Down here in my cold frame, I've got coleus, which are lovely. They're beautiful. Look at this one. Absolutely beautiful little plants, look. And again, they're not very keen on cold weather either. So they were sown from seed in early March, and the seed is tiny. You can hardly see it. Scatter it on the top of the soil, tiny dusting of compost, and some tiny plants came up. And that's the satisfying thing about growing from seed, is you have these really tiny plants coming up, and you just can't imagine them doing anything or becoming anything, and yet they do. So these plants are in my cold frame. They're being hardened off during the day, and I'm still bringing them in at night, because actually the air today, we've had some rain overnight and it was quite warm yesterday, but the air today is actually quite fresh, so the plants need plenty of protection. I've got some courgette plants here, 2 of which I bought. Actually, I think I bought all these as small plants. I didn't grow them from seed this year, but once again, you see, the leaves, they're okay, but they're just about coping. So it just goes to show that it's really important when you are growing from seed and then you prick the plants out. I usually pot them on twice. So I prick them out and put them into very small modules. And then when they fill those modules and the roots start coming out of the bottom, I then put them into individual pots. So here we are, we've got a lobelia plant. Look, let's just move that little geranium. Got a lobelia plant here. That actually came as a very tiny plug. And I bought that online, and it came as a tiny plug, smaller than about the size of my little finger. And I put it into a slightly bigger module tray. And then once the roots were coming out the bottom, I then put it into the pot it's in now. So this is the pot that it will be taken out of, and then it will go into a much larger terracotta pot, probably sometime in the next week. But the key at this time of year is really keep your eye on the weather, because if there's a hint of really cold air at night, all your good work can be undone very quickly. So next job will be to get those berlotti beans out. Hello, and welcome to a job that I'm going to do on the allotment this morning. I'm going to put in my berlotti beans. They're over here next to that dazzling samurai looking scary scarecrow that I erected the other day. There they are in the box, and they are huge. I'm going to take them out and show you just how big they are. Now, this is probably going to be an episode on how not to garden, because it's relatively early May. I put these in as seeds in little module trays at home about 2 weeks ago, and they just romped away. They've gone crazy, and as you can see, they're just desperate to start climbing up things. And yet, it's really, if I'm honest, far too early. Not far too early, it was really too early to put runner beans, berlotti beans, French beans out in open ground at this stage. You can chance it, particularly in the southwest of England where I am, but it is risky. It's quite fresh today, it's about 13 degrees, and already I can see the leaves are not looking too happy. What's going to happen when I put these beans in is that they're going to have a bit of a shock. Although I've been hardening them off outside for the best part of a week, they are going to have a hell of a shock, and they probably won't do a great deal, and they'll probably look very traumatised. And then hopefully we'll get some warmer temperatures towards the end of the month, and they will really take off, but they've got to go in. So I'm going to set up and make a start. Right, time to get cracking. It's a bit windy up here today as well, so that's not at all helpful. So what I'm going to do is pop them over here. And one of the things I'm going to do, I've already planted some seed in the ground, which I did a couple of days ago, and it was much milder. I can't think how many plants I've got here. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be enough, shouldn't it? That should be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant them on the insides of the cane, which hopefully will give them a little bit of protection. It's just a question really of digging the holes like so and then moving round. So it is a shame that they have romped away so slowly, or fast, not slowly, so quickly. Now, what's really important is when you're taking these out of the pot, is you don't pull on the stems too hard because you could lose them. But there is a lovely, you won't be able to see this, but it's got a fantastic root ball. In fact, what I'll do is I'll walk over, stick it in front of the camera. Don't know if you can see that, but it's got a lovely, lovely root ball. So these are very well established. They've been grown from seed in this pot. What I haven't done is transplanted them, which I could have done, but I didn't. So then the next job is to separate them really carefully from each other, because there's a single plant in each case. And I'm going to put them in. The soil, by the way, in this bed is lovely, so I don't need to put any additional compost or anything in, because the soil it's got dung in it, it's got top quality topsoil, compost. It's been really, really pampered actually, so it should be very, very fertile and very, very nice for the plants to grow in. One of the beauties of raised beds is that you can really chuck in some good stuff and it makes such a difference. So that's 3. So we'll just move on up the line. Always good to get your poles in first. And the lovely thing is, again about raised beds, I've got this super tilthy soil to put the plants in, which makes life so much easier. So although raised beds are a bit smaller, what you get from them, I think, is a very, very good yield. You get this lovely, deep soil. I know last year when I grew carrots, they did really well up here, which they hadn't done the year before when I was growing them in normal, just beds. So we'll just move round. I want to be very, very careful how I lift these, because they have got so tenderly, as I call them, they really have gone a little bit mad. I'm actually looking at these and wondering if I've got enough of them for the poles, but it doesn't matter because I have got some more beans. And you might be thinking, berlotti beans, what are they? I haven't got a picture, but they're Italian beans. And they are lovely in things like stews and casseroles, and we have them with fish at home, and they're beautiful. You buy them in tins in the supermarket, they're very good for you. And when you harvest them, the pods are a bit like broad bean pods in that they have to be nice and fat and plump. So not like runner beans. A bit like broad beans. When broad beans get nice and fat, you can see the bulbous. Oh, look, there's a potato. I don't think you're meant to be there. Must have grown potatoes in here at some point. Anyway, yeah, so they are, when the beans get really, you can see the beans sort of poking through like lumps. That's when you put them, that's when you shell them basically, or shuck them. And then you cook them for about 20 minutes to half an hour. And you can then eat them in salads. You can have them heated up in stews. They are really, really nice. And the lovely thing about berlotti beans is they look fabulous when they're growing because they're red and yellow. And you wait until they turn that colour and they just have that really exotic look. And they're fantastic. They're really good. But you do have to grow a lot of them to make it worth your while. So you really do need to go a bit mad and grow a lot of plants, which is what I'm going to do because I love them. So those have gone in. Now, haven't finished yet because although these plants are desperate to get up the poles, they won't necessarily be very good at doing it unaided. So what I'm going to do, particularly as it's a bit windy today, is I've got some string with me and a pair of scissors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a helping hand. So I'm just going to wind these. Look at the way they're trying to get round. Look, already they've got nothing. They had nothing to climb on at home. And here they are. They're desperate to get up a pole. That's what all they want in the world. Please let me climb a pole. It's all I want. Please let me do it. Look at them. They're desperate. They look almost like they've been unwound from a pole. That's how keen they are. But what I'm doing is I'm finding a fairly tough part of the stem because even if the top bit becomes like this bit here, untangled, eventually it will find its way. So I would suggest if you have got beans like this and you're growing them, if you go about 2/3 of the way up, just below the last set of leaves that have come out, you'll get a much better idea. Let me show you what I mean close up. So you've got your plant in the ground. This one's a bit clearer, isn't it? You've got your plant in the ground here, look. And then you've got the stem of the plant. And you can see this bit here. This is the bit that's desperate to get up a pole. But if you were to attach a piece of string here, it would tear very easily. So the best thing to do is to get a piece of string, not too tight, that could just be a little bit tighter. And all you need to do, but what I've managed to do, as you can see on the sticks here, hopefully, is tie about 2/3 of the way up. And that makes such a difference. So there they all are. The berlotti beans have landed. They're in. It's a nice dry sunny day, so that's good. Tick. But the air temperature isn't as warm as it was yesterday. Ideally, I would plant these out at the end of May, not the beginning of May. And ideally, I'd plant them out on a day when it is probably 15, 16 degrees plus. Yesterday would have been perfect. Yesterday was Bank Holiday Monday, and it was absolutely lovely planting conditions. It was ever so still and quite thundery. Today, it's breezy and fresh, so it's not the best day to plant out the beans, but they just needed to go out really as soon as possible. And they have been hardening off for a bit, which is good. So it's just a case now of giving everything a really good soak and hoping that the birds don't come and attack these. We need a really, really good soak now. It's amazing how plants will dry out in this kind of windy, dry weather. Now, what I might do as well, just to be on the safe side, is erect a little kind of fence around the base of this raised bed, just to give the birds a bit of a deterrent. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just get some posts in the ground and just rig up a bit of netting, just to hopefully stop the birds thinking that they're going to have a nice tasty meal. That is 5-star protection for my berlotti beans that I've just put in. Oh, that wasn't the plan. I just went into my shed to think, I'll just erect some wire, get a bit of anti-bird netting chucked around the edge. And then I remembered I'd got some horticultural fleece, which doesn't really ever get used. And I thought, I'll stick this up. Now, the only thing that worries me, and this is where I should have really checked the weather forecast, is if we get 30 or 40 mile an hour winds, that could be catastrophic, because the whole bloody lot will take off and my berlotti beans will probably be no more. But I don't think we're forecast to get those winds. It could be a bit blowy, but I think it'll probably be okay. My biggest worry is if this ends up, it's fairly stable, but it's not as stable as it could be, so it might go down. So fingers crossed. But there they are, look, residing in their 5-star luxury. And even if it's only up for 2 or 3 days, assuming it doesn't get blown to pieces, which it shouldn't do, it will at least give them a little bit of protection, not just from the birds, but from the elements generally, because the shock of being up here on an exposed site is quite something when you've been mollycoddled in a pot for a couple of weeks and you've been down in a nice sheltered garden and in and out of a conservatory at night, and suddenly you're whacked onto a plot and left to get on with it. So even if they only might last to the weekend, I probably will take this shelter off. If we get anything approximating 16 plus and double figures at night, that shelter will come straight off and the beans should be reasonably okay. Anyway, we'll just have to see, won't we?